Alrighty, automotive friends from all around the world, it's time once again for another
well-bought episode of V8 Radio, Kevin.
Another well-bought episode of V8 Radio. I'm your host, Kevin Oeste. I know that term. We'll get to that in a sec. I'm your host, Kevin Oeste, joined as always by our esteemed co-host, who is now sporting a wicked tan, Mr. Mike Cueball Clarke.
Hola, amigos. ¿Cómo estás?
Yes, Mikey's day job afforded him an incentive trip to Mexico, where he was undoubtedly promoting V8 Radio to the natives as best he could.
We're huge in Mexico now. We're huge in Mexico.
Awesome. Well,
gigante in Mexico.
Yes, we are Sábado Gigante.
Yes,
that's the big Saturday, if you're wondering.
Very nice.
So yes, well bought. A great auction term.
Thank you. A nod to the just recently ended Barrett-Jackson auction.
Yeah, right. I don't know if that term exists anywhere else in the universe, but
I don't think it does. But it does. Well, for our podcast, it does now.
It's a well bought episode, and you know what?
Amen.
At the price, it is well bought.
Thank you. I thought so.
Yes, our friends over at the Round 6 podcast handed out some stickers that said "free and worth it."
Oh, right on. I like that.
I do too.
I like it.
Ours will be well bought.
Very good.
Alrighty, so for those veteran listeners of V8 Radio, we thank you for being veteran listeners of V8 Radio. Our popularity is growing, which is very cool. We appreciate that. But those people know that this is a show about cars and car stuff, generally. And we always try to start our episodes with an automotive trivia question, which is it's really the height of the excitement of this whole operation, especially because we ask the question at the beginning and we provide the answers at the end, so that you're kind of conned into listening to the whole nonsense in between. Maybe some of the listeners are aware of the fast forward button thing, but I'm not going to remind them.
No.
No. So, Mr. Q, do you have a trivia question?
As a matter of fact, I do, Kevin.
Oh, right on.
And let's unleash it onto the masses. Okay. As cars evolved, as they became redesigned and they became safer. Which one, Kevin? Which auto manufacturer was the first one to debut to the masses a four-wheel ABS system? And for the bonus, what year and model did it come on? That's it. That's the bonus. You just have to name the manufacturer to really win.
All-wheel ABS. Wow. That is a good one. Oh, man. This sucks. I mean, I know, Studebaker was known as having the first all-wheel disc brake system here in the U.S. On the Avanti, and there's been various forms of ABS over the years, but the first all-wheel ABS.
All-wheel ABS.
And when and who? Jeez.
Well, it's who
and then when
is the question, but what year and what model did it come out?
All right. I'm just going to go by general BS knowledge, hopefully stacking the odds in my favor, that it was a Mercedes-Benz product, even though it could have been a Volvo or it could have been any number of others. But I'm going to say it was a Mercedes-Benz product.
Okay.
And I'm going to say it was earlier than I would think. ABS started to become kind of prominent in the 80s, but that doesn't mean that's when it was invented. And the fact that it was all-wheel, most of today's systems are all-wheel. Interestingly, a lot of systems are no longer standard. ABS is an option in a lot of cars. Yeah, you believe that? It's an expensive thing, so you got to check your window sticker when next time you're buying a car to make sure that your ABS is in fact ABS and not just brakes. So
you'll find out during that first panic stop anyway.
You will. I'm going to just throw out 1981.
MB 1981. 81. Kev says.
And then on the car itself, I'm going to say it was on the S class.
The Sunda class.
Yes. And now I would like to move on because that question sucks.
It does. I agree. It is kind of shady. I apologize.
It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We'll find out at the end of the show, Kev.
I'll be flying the L. Yeah. All right. So I've got one that I'll reciprocate.
Oh, of course you will.
Now, you, of course, know the engine as the Buick Nailhead V8 engine.
I have heard of that.
Yes. But what was the official name of this V8 when it was introduced back in 1953?
Oh, God. I didn't think a question could suck more than mine, Kev.
Oh, hey, good job. Well, the Nailhead was a nickname. It was never officially called the Nailhead. So what was it? And I'll tell you what, to make it odds in your favor a little bit, the engine was known by a couple different names over its life cycle. So I'll take either one of the two most common names for that engine.
Okay. The Nailhead. All right. It was called that because the valves were pretty straight up and down. Isn't that right?
Correct. It had a long stem with a kind of a smaller head, and they're perpendicular, I guess, to the ground as the car went down the street. So it was like nails in a board. All right. The Nailhead official name was... They had outstanding breathing capabilities, believe it or not. The intake port was the same size from the manifold all the way to the cylinder head. Nothing choked down. Yeah. It's a good engine.
That's pretty cool. Nice. We'll call it the... For lack of anything really coming to mind, and so our listeners can get out of their excruciating pain.
Or get out of yours.
Or get out of mine, yeah. I will say the Turbo Fire V8. The Turbo
Fire V8. Now, that does sound like a familiar type of engine.
Yeah. Well, there's a Turbo Jet, I think it was a Chevrolet. I think. Or Turbo Jet Fire or something nonsense like that. But
Turbo Fire.
Yeah, Turbo Fire.
Alrighty, the Turbo Fire V8. We will find out later.
Yeah.
Dynamite.
Can't wait.
I know. We're not going to have to. We just got into this mess.
Right.
So what else is happening?
What else is happening?
Big muscle car scene down there in Mexico?
Well, you know what? There's a lot of air-cooled Beetles down there.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Because they were produced until like 2009 for the Mexican market. And I couldn't believe all the ones I saw. Usually, if you see one here, it's like a real oddity, and not only driven on a nice day. Well, in Mexico, they're all nice days pretty much. But but there was a lot of them on the road just tooling around. And you see a couple just completely stripped on the side of the road, just sitting there. It was crazy.
Did you see many vans, VW vans?
No, I did not.
You know what's interesting is the van was also produced, I think, into the 90s down there.
Is that right?
The microbus, you know.
Yeah.
But most of them are water cooled, so they have radiators on the front.
I was not aware of this.
Yeah, it's crazy. The first time I was in Mexico was also for an incentive trip many years ago when I worked for Peterson Publishing, and driving around there was this VW bus, and I said to one of the guys, I'm like, hey, check it out. Somebody converted that to be a water cooler. There's a radiator on the front. You know, I wonder what engine's in it. And they said, yeah, that was converted by a company called Volkswagen. I was like, oh, really? Right on.
Okay, Oeste, first round's on you, bud.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Cruising past,
so what engine was in there?
I have no idea. I chose not to pursue that conversation any further.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Much like our trivia question.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I did hear of people in the States converting air-cooled buses to with 1.8T engines, which was a pretty versatile water-cooled Volkswagen engine.
Yeah, those were...
And would really make it scoot. Those had really good power.
Right. So. Especially compared to the 40 horsepower air-cooled,
Exactly.
Pile that came in those things. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. Well, we got a lot going on here at the shop again, as always, which is cool. We're very thankful that always a bunch of fun projects coming. And this past week, one of our old favorites arrived. Our buddy Paul's car showed up.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know if I'm more excited about this or he is, because I am jacked about this, about his car being in there to get finished up.
Yeah, well, finished up is a relative term.
Right. Well, running and driving.
Running and driving, right. Definitely. Yeah. So this is the 1962 Buick Electra. It's yellow. It's a convertible. And the car has quite a long history. I mean, obviously back to 62, but I mean in recent history. This was the car that David Freiberger, when he was at CarCraft, and Rob Canan, when he was at Hot Rod, picked up on the street for, I don't know, I think $1,000 or something. And it didn't really run that great, and it looked kind of ugly, but they bought it for a cheap, fun CarCraft magazine project car, primarily because they just wanted to tool around an old convertible for a little while. Mm-hmm. So it didn't have a top, and it didn't. The interior was kind of blown out. So they rebuilt the original carburetor on the what kind of engine?
That would be a nailhead, Kevin.
Yeah, very good. Which is also known as. We'll have to wait and see.
The Turbo
Fire V8. Yeah. And they took it down, did what Freiberger has called the world's worst paint job, and just kind of sanded it down and filled some dings and dents with filler and sprayed it in yellow. And I think they took it to a one-day paint place, because they had those in California, where you could bring a primered car in and they just spray it for you.
Just bomb it with paint, right?
Yep, and it was what I was originally thinking was close to Daytona yellow, which looks awesome on Corvettes and maybe a '69 Camaro, but really not too much else. But on this car, it's the whole thing is bright yellow. Back in the day, they put some moon discs on it on the hubcaps, and they just drove it around, right? Well, I had been working with those guys for a while at that point, and I had heard that this car was coming up for sale. And the bones, I thought, were really solid, because this was a California car, so it wasn't rusty at all. A little surface in the trunk, here and there.
Right.
And it was powered by a Buick 401, but it's a bucket seat console car, which is really unusual in an Electra.
In a big car, right?
Fully, yeah, right.
Yeah.
And factory air and power windows and stuff. And I thought, this thing, it doesn't need to get away. So I called my buddy Paul, that I grew up with. We reference him here and there on the show. He's an engineer for Navistar Truck. And he was living in Fort Wayne, Indiana at the time. And I said, hey, you need to come get this thing. So he had an S10 pickup truck. And he rented a tow dolly from U-Haul and drives all the way across the country. And in fact, on the way out, he stopped in a little town in Illinois where our other old college roommate grew up, who had a '69 Mach 1 with a big block in it.
Oh, wow.
And he dragged the Mach 1 out from Illinois to Southern California, because the third guy's name is Kyle, and Kyle and I lived together, and Paul and Kyle and I all went to college together. So he brought Kyle his Mustang and then hitched up this nailhead Electra, which is longer than his truck by a solid, 48 feet. and brings the thing over to my apartment where I was living. And I said, this is cool. And because of the kind of, not that great friend that I am, it was Thanksgiving weekend. And Paul was dating a girl, and she had come with him. And I said, well, it's nice you guys come out for Thanksgiving and to pick up this car. Can I borrow this tow dolly? And he's like, what? So at the same time, my dad had our '62 Galaxie in his garage in his new house in Arizona. And he was working on it, finishing up the restoration at that time, and he had turned the key to start the car, and the wiring harness burned because something shorted out. Just a little under dash harness. Mm-hmm. But it freaked him out, and he's like, he doesn't want this car burning down his new house in the desert. And even though it was Thanksgiving weekend, it was still, 90 degrees in Arizona. And
right.
So he said, my dad called me, and he said, you need to come pick this car up, or I'm going to push it out on the street, and I don't care what happens to it.
Oh, boy.
So Paul shows up. I grab his tow dolly. I borrow a friend's truck and head to Arizona and pick up the Galaxie, tow dolly that thing all the way back to Southern Cal, put it in my garage, and then reconnect to Paul's truck, and then he hitches up the Electra again and drives it all the way back to Indiana.
Thanks for coming by, Paul.
Exactly, he had a good time over the weekend. I was gone, I think, 30 hours. Just straight down and back, just literally dropped one off and picked one up. And Paul was telling me that on his way home, he was driving through Texas. He took 40 back instead of going 80 north. He took 40 cross country.
Not the longest interstate in the country.
Correct.
I-40.
You are correct. How about that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Boy, we have a loyal veteran listener here.
Yes, we do.
So he remembers getting hassled in Texas because he was at some truck stop and a bunch of guys are giving him a hard time because his trailer is a two-wheel dolly and his load weighs more and is bigger than his truck.
Oh, sure.
And they're reminding him of how bad this could go.
Yeah, that's not dangerous at all.
No, not whatsoever.
No.
But he made it home and actually drove the car around for a little while. He put tires on it and fixed the wheel cylinders and stuff. And soon thereafter, the nailhead developed a pretty wicked rod knock. And he was, only a couple years out of school at this point, and a fledgling engineer with Navistar, and was trying to price out how much it would cost to rebuild the nailhead, and it became kind of cost prohibitive quickly because even then, this is 20 some years ago, it was about 20 years ago, it was expensive to build those engines. Mm-hmm. So he had in his home garage at his parents' house a small block Chevy that came out of his 71 Nova that was his high school car.
Right.
And his Nova got disassembled and put away, much like my old Buick Riviera did. Mm-hmm. And he thought, what I'll do? I'll just grab that small block out of the Nova, throw it in the Buick, drive it around, and it'll be fine, Mm-hmm. And that's what we're going to finish up. Because
alrighty.
Yeah, well, like everybody, life happened, his job changed, his ability and space to work on the car changed. He got married, he had kids, he bought a house, and you know how it is, so
boy do I.
We all do. So it was the priority, it slid down the priority list. But over the past few years, he's been working on it. Trying to get the engine in and the front brackets on and all that kind of stuff and taking things off and powder coating them and whatnot. Where it got tripped up is it's a small block Chevy with a 204R automatic overdrive. Mm-hmm. And this Buick had a nailhead with, I believe it was a Slim Jim 2-speed transmission.
Oh, wow.
So the transmission tunnel needs to be expanded and some fabrication needs to happen. So that's kind of where the project hit the brakes. Okay. We had actually used that car in I think the second episode of V8 TV.
Is that right?
Back when we were airing on the men's channel in like 2005.
Wow.
And we did a disc brake swap on it back then, and that's still there and it works, which is good.
Yeah.
And
Scarebird brackets. I watched it.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. We're like the #1 resource for Scarebird brackets because of that video, by the way.
Is that right?
I get calls probably every other week still about that.
No kidding.
Yeah. Well, it's on YouTube now too, but and people call me up and they're like, "So how does that car drive?" And I'm like, "I don't know."
I'll let you know as soon as we drive it.
Right. Which hopefully will be pretty soon. So he boxed up a bunch of stuff and dragged it down to our shop last weekend. Mm-hmm. And we have our punch list of what we need to do. So going to get a prefab tunnel and cut it open.
Oh, cool.
Get it all fit and kind of check over some of the lines. He's got the same problem that, again, a lot of us have, and that is the front end bushings are new. Yeah, I just put them in. They're new.
Yeah.
18 years ago.
Right.
So now they're dry rotted, even though they've never been driven on.
Right.
So, as and I'm not condemning anybody, including myself or Paul or you, for having these long-term projects, but that's one of the bummers is that, you might set everything up, and then by the time you get to it, we find in our own shop, for example, a lot of times things are out of warranty by the time we turn the key, because it took a while to build.
Right.
Or they wore out in the garage, But it's a fairly straightforward project, and we hope to have it together. So our goal is for him to drive this car back home, which for him is about 320 miles or so, the weekend of the drive-in cruise.
Oh, how good would that be, man? Mm-hmm. I know that can happen. I know based on the scope of work that I think you have to do, that should be super doable, because you're not blowing the car apart to paint it.
Nope.
Right. You're not doing anything to the frame.
Nope.
You're just getting the trans tunnel put in, getting everything put back together.
Right.
Making sure everything is buttoned up and drivable.
Yeah. So there's a few changes that we made regarding installing a tilt column. So we're gonna put a tilt steering column in it, and we're gonna make a floor shift. Now this car, I mentioned it had buckets and a console, but it was a column shift.
It's interesting.
Yeah. So in the original console, it's got a tack at the top, like an old Impala. It's pretty cool. And then it's got an opening for what could have been a shifter.
Okay.
So we're going to try and I think we're going to run a low car. I like those low car shifters. I don't know if you've ever shifted one, the style that's actually mounted to the transmission.
Oh, no, I don't think I have.
Yeah, a lot of the low car transmission or shifters mount right to the trans, and then the stick comes up through the hole. And when you shift one of those, it's not. It's the most solid feeling shifter because it's bolted to the trans. It's not like a console that's plastic and flexing, or the floor that could have some give.
Right.
So those are really cool. My concern is that I don't know where the relationship of the shifter hole is going to be to where the transmission is in the console. And the transmission could be further forward or back or whatever.
I see.
So we might end up just doing a cable-operated shifter to simplify that. So our goal is to kind of, let's just get through this. We're not trying to reinvent the world here.
Right. And you have a pretty cool gallery already started on the V8 Speed and Resto page.
Yeah,
that I noticed.
On our photo gallery link.
Yeah, the photo gallery. Yeah, it looks really cool.
Yeah, and
so far,
he had done a lot of great work on getting the inner fenders powder coated and the hood hinge springs and hood hinges and all that stuff. So most of it should, dare I say, bolt back together once we get the mechanical work done. And it's funny, because now today, luckily, he's in a place where he's got a little more resources than he used to. So where in the past, the conversation was, where am I going to take this radiator to have it, boiled out? And today it's like, no, we're just going to put a new radiator in it, and save the time and aggravation. And and before it was, what car could I yank a tilt column out of at the junkyard? And now it's like, no, we're going to get an identity column.
We're going to get a nice one, yeah.
Yeah.
Something that's not already worn out.
And needing a rebuild.
And need a rebuild, yeah.
So there's that. We're going to put some gauges in it. The 204R is a Grand National spec, so it's the good one.
Oh, good.
We have a little bit of a concern of how it shifts because some of those cars shifted pretty hard. And this is a big cruiser sled. It doesn't need to be a neck snapper.
Right.
But we're going to put it together and see what it does. And then if it's great, it's great. If not, then we'll address that. In those cars, go ahead.
That's a small block in there, right?
Yeah, it's a 357 cubic inch small block Chevy. And Paul had built this engine in high school, and it was in his Nova that he drove around for a long time, and we actually featured a little bit of this on VATV too a long time ago. Those videos are not online. I should probably get them online for this project.
Yeah, for sure.
But we did a Holley Systemax package on it at Fast Times Motorworks and dynoed it.
Really?
And the Systemax package was cam heads and an intake. And the first thing we did, though, is Paul ripped it out of the car. Well, he had his engine stand for, at that point, 15 years after high school. And then we dragged it down to Fast Times Motor Works and dynoed it to see what his high school build could do on the engine.
Okay.
And the engine ran pretty good. I think it was 300 horsepower, 330 or something, 320, I think, somewhere around there. But the problem with it was Paul's, high school kid engine. So he made the amateur mistake of overdoing it on the silicone on like gaskets and stuff. And it starved out the engine oil pickup. And ended up wiping out the bearings. So then it got kind of a mild rebuild at Fast Times, and it got bearings. And at that point, it was like, well, we might as well put some parts on it. So that's when we did the Systemax upgrade. And I think at that point, it made almost 400.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's a good running engine. The concern there, though, is it might be a little out of character as well for the Electra.
For the Electra, I mean, where's all that power being made? Is it mid-range and upper RPM, or what kind of torque is it?
Yeah, it's not a super torquey engine. Again, being a small block Chevy, but it's got a cam in it, and it's got some lope, and the big Buick is supposed to be kind of smooth and quiet. So again, we'll see how it does, and it's a flat tappet cam, but it was already broken in, so I don't, we're going to be careful with it, but hopefully we don't have any issues there. So it should be cool. And he already said if it's too much camshaft, for the brakes or whatever, we'll put a roller in it and mellow it out.
Okay. Maybe throw a hydro boost on it.
Yeah, I mean, they work. That's for sure.
Right on.
But we're trying to eliminate the scope creep here,
Right, yeah.
Might as well syndrome.
I know. Yeah. Sorry, Paul, I'm spending your money already.
There you go. See how you are. So we've been just kind of going through his parts and trying to read his handwriting on what he wrote on this stuff. And
They'll be making Kelly go crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, when the car came apart, because right now the front sheet metal's off and all that stuff, that was mostly Kelly's doing.
Is that right?
Yeah, because it was in his old garage, and when we made the decision to put the small block in it, it's like, well, should we pull the hood and the fenders and, maybe do some detail work? And he was like, well, I don't know. And next thing you know, Kelly's like, sure, let's go. And wrenches are flying and fenders are going across the room and everything else. So she basically took it apart the last time.
Oh, boy. Oh, my goodness. That's beautiful. Yeah. Well, that'll give some good access to the frame if you want to throw some paint on it and make it look halfway decent. And all
right.
Stuff.
Which he did. It's all painted up and ready to go. So.
Oh, nice. All right. That's a big car. My gosh, there's a lot of car there.
It is a big car. And we're going to have a drive shaft situation. It's a carrier bearing 2-piece drive shaft.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Well, it's 8 blocks long, so
that's true. That's true.
So we're gonna have to shorten that when we get the 200 in there, and then this car is, it's a little bit off the mark, so you have to approach these differently. You can't a lot of times get certain parts. You can't put a ring and pinion gear in this thing. Oh, because the originals are all gone, and nobody makes one. So whatever gear it's got, which is it's good for that 4-speed 200 4R because it'll have a lower first gear.
Okay.
To get it moving, but the rear end, I think it leaks at the pinion, so we're gonna put a pinion seal in it and put axle seals and stuff. We just gotta make sure we can get them, and I think I found all that stuff already too. So it'll be
won't
great.
Be a dull project.
No. And
not that you really have any dull projects in there.
No, none of them are dull. But so again, it's going to stay with its yellow paint, and stay kind of looking like it is. And again, he's got young kids, so he doesn't want to worry about his son dragging a bicycle across the side of it, or something like that. Something that you're probably a little familiar with. That
I am.
Risk.
I know that pain.
Yeah.
I've heard that drag. That's okay. So, and this thing would need a paint job anyway, so I'm not too not too broke up about it. So.
No. And that's the right way to do it. You know, it's like there's no way you're going to prevent that kind of stuff. So,
never.
You'd drive yourself crazy if you had done the paint first and then had the kids.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
There's people that do that, and it's challenging for them. Cars always got to be covered, and a lot of yelling in the garage.
Unless you have it stored off-site somewhere in some climate-controlled place all by itself and nobody touches it, then you worry about somebody touching it, like somebody getting in there and messing with it. So it's always something.
Yeah, yeah. You know who's actually really good at that was our buddy Pete, who owns the Reloaded Camaro.
Oh, yeah?
Because his son, Brian, I think was 7 or 8 when that project started.
Wow.
And that car came, we said last time, that car came to our shop for some maintenance, and it looks like the day it rolled out of the booth. I mean, it is.
It's amazing.
It is amazing.
Good on you, Pete.
His son, Brian, was not reckless around it in the garage, and I've been in his garage. It's like yours and mine. The car, it's a it's 2.5 car garage. It's not like it's off-site stored. Right. It was for a while, but recently it's lived at home, and luckily they, I'm sure Pete laid down the law about proper conduct around the car. So,
amen.
Brian,
amen.
Apologize for that, but glad that nothing ever happened. So that's good.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man.
Yeah.
That is cool. But yeah, Paul sent me some. He sent me some pictures of when he took the car down there, and he took some shots of the Metro van.
Oh yeah.
And he sent me. Yeah, that's looking pretty cool. Is it done, or are you still going to do more?
We're gonna put graphics on it, and
oh, that's right.
Wheels, tires, and that kind of stuff. So you'll see the big reveal on it soon. We still got to land on that, but everything else. I drove it the other day. It's crazy. It's cool.
Nice.
That
is so awesome.
It's a different experience. I mean, it drives great. It's very tall. It's peppy though. There's no concerns about how it drives at all. I mean, it's
cool.
It's as if a manufacturer had built it. It's really a testament to the team of pulling it off. So it drives really nice.
Very cool, man.
Yeah. So speaking of garages, I had a little time last weekend in my own garage. So last time we talked that I was able to do some top maintenance stuff on the Galaxie. Well, this past weekend I did a headlight relay install.
Oh, how'd that go?
It went, well, the package said plug and play.
Uh-huh.
And, on a different car it could have been. So.
Oh, really? Oh, boy.
The whole purpose of this thing is that, like on your GTO and on this Galaxie, when you pull the headlight switch, it makes contact, and all the electricity comes from the battery through that switch and then to the headlights.
Sure.
So if you break out a tape measure, you're talking 20 feet of wire, that you're pushing electricity through to light the lights. And when wiring gets older, the electrical resistance goes up, so it gets harder to push that juice through it. And in my case, I had put halogen headlights in this thing a while ago. Again, probably 20 years ago. Seems like yesterday.
Right.
And every once in a while, you'd be driving, and if you hit the high beams and then went back to low beams, everything would shut off.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was bad.
Not good. Yeah, not good.
No. The worst one was Kelly and I were driving the car on the 17 freeway in Arizona, coming down from Flagstaff into North Scottsdale, I guess. And it's this twisty mountain, 65 mile an hour road, and we're doing 75, 80, and all of a sudden, at night, and all of a sudden everything goes black,
Oh, brother.
Right. And so my first thought was, it's the dimmer switch, So I stop at the AutoZone or whatever it was, probably out there, the CSK or Cragen or something, and bought a $4 switch, changed out in my parents' driveway there in Scottsdale, and I said, okay, let's go. And that wasn't it.
Oh, man.
And what it turned out is that halogens, they draw a lot more.
Sure.
And
oh, yeah.
Trevor pointed out that there's a circuit breaker, and they just pull enough juice, especially when all 4 of them are on, that it would trip the breaker. So he's like, you got to put relays in. So the relay takes power right from the battery in a real short run, and the on-off switch for the headlights basically just tells the relay to turn on.
Tells relay kick on and off. Yeah. I mean, it's a great idea. I mean, it makes you wonder. I mean, I guess back in the day when these cars were designed, I don't know if relays were very prominent, or if
you had like a horn relay, and you had like an AC relay. So there was some in the cars, but they just didn't think to do headlights, and they didn't have the halogens either. So they just had a regular beam.
That's true.
And they probably didn't have the problem.
As that switch ages as well, it's gonna all that juice going through the switch is gonna get hot as well.
Oh yeah, it's a fire waiting to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Inside the car, it's crazy.
Right.
I mean, unless you have, a completely stock electrical system running stock bulbs and have new wiring.
And you drive in the daytime only.
I'd say relays are a definite, a requirement.
Yeah.
To do that.
Kind of funny, channeling my dad again, because burning down the house with, now it's my house and not his.
Yeah.
So
things got it out for you.
Yeah, right. So I jumped on Amazon and I found a relay kit. Now, most of your, major aftermarket wiring companies make relay kits, but this one was interesting to me because it was supposed to be a true plug and play. From a group called Octane Lighting, and the bulb sockets are ceramic, so they're supposed to be more resilient to heat or whatever. And what you would end up doing is disconnecting the leads from your headlights, and then plug one into this harness, and then just connect the harness to the headlights, and then connect the other end to power, and you're done.
Okay,
easy.
Sounds easy enough.
Yep, except for the fact that on my particular car, the headlight harness needs to pass through a hole in the core support that's probably 5/8 of an inch.
Of course it does.
And the headlight connectors obviously don't fit through that because they're a bigger ceramic thing. So the plug and play became unpinning all the connectors and feeding the wire through and then reconnecting the connectors, which really it's not that big of a deal because the connectors themselves have a tab on them, and you can take a small screwdriver and push the tab down.
Oh, right.
It wasn't cutting and re-splicing. It was just pop the tabs out. So I did all that, and then I thought, I bought new headlights for this thing probably only 5 years ago, so I might as well put those in.
Yeah. I mean, they're brand new.
They are. And then to wire the power and the ground side, I did a little bit of a cut and splice to kind of clean that up. But what a huge difference.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. It was totally
much brighter?
Totally worth it. And I've learned that I got a couple of blown out headlight adjusters that I have to fix. Because,
is that right?
There's a reason why one was always... I apologize to everybody that approached me. Because it was like up and to the left, So I'll get that straight.
Telling you that you're number one as they go by you, kind of thing. Yeah.
And I'd wave, hey, cool, yeah. But that's great. So I would call that a success.
For sure.
And I needed another little garage success. It was a good thing.
It's soul cleansing, man. Soul cleansing.
Yes, it is. And again, it's not without complete frustration because this car, it's a 1962 Ford Galaxie, which means the headlights are surrounded by these almost foil-like headlight rings and trim rings, and they're all different. The two outers and two inners and left and right. And I've accumulated probably 9 or 10 of these things over the years, and I swear they're all different.
Oh, man. Oh, jeez.
The screw holes don't line up, and a few of them are smashed and have been kind of tapped out, and some are original, like clear anodized zinc plated almost, and some are that's been stripped and polished. They look different, and there's a couple of unobtainium screw or spring nuts that when you put the ring on, you drive a screw through it into this little nut, and the nut actually stands off the headlight bucket and locates the ring.
Oh,
so
wow.
I'm missing some of those, and I found the original Ford part number, believe it or not, and there's one organization online in the entire breadth of the internet that sells these things. And the nut is small enough, a little trim screw screws into it, so it's smaller than the size of my thumbnail, and they're $5 a piece or something.
Come on.
But I only need 3 of them, and it'll help, so I got to get those on order before I can put the rings back on. But
$5 a piece. I mean, it's not a lot of money, but it should be 50 cents.
It should, but this guy's been sitting on them forever and advertising them. And
I guess.
He's got them, and I need them, and it's okay. I appreciate that. And at the same time, the headlight rings, the last, I found a set of 4 of them, NOS on eBay, and they were well over $500. So,
yikes.
Yeah, I'm getting back to just kind of polishing up the dingy ones I got and call it a day.
Yeah,
so.
It kind of reminds me of those on the 65 through 67 Galaxies with the vertical headlights. They had those, I think it was those Pyrex headlight covers.
Yeah.
Those things are like finding hen's teeth.
Yeah, those were on the R code 427 cars.
Yeah, there's a guy with a 65 Galaxie here in Plainfield that will show up to Plainfield cruise nights every so often, and he has a set of those on his car. Yeah. It's not a 427 car; it's a 390 car. But he got them from someone to put them on. They look pretty cool.
Yeah,
but
the last time I saw a set of those, they were $1,100.
Yeah, that is something.
They're cool though.
Boy, howdy,
they look neat. I don't know.
They do look neat,
especially if you have, if you've got the car, you need them.
Oh, true. You gotta have them.
Yeah. We're getting ready next week to go shoot another round of Muscle Car of the Week.
Oh yeah.
As a matter of fact, so it reminded me because that's a place where I can see multiple sets of those, kind of in a row, in the brothers' collection because they've got.
Gosh dang it!
They've got a few of them. Yeah. Well, the museum is coming together, so.
Is it?
Yeah. It's from what I've been seeing. It's really cool. And hopefully we can shoot some video to promote this thing. That was the intention all along. They haven't been ready enough to start publicizing the whole thing yet. Okay. But it's gonna be neat.
I mean, there have been some shots like on the interior.
Yes.
Like that Impala that you did the sweet burnout in was inside that museum, right?
Yes. You cannot do that anymore. Because it is jammed with cars.
Is it? Oh boy.
Yeah, and neat displays and stuff. So that was one of the reasons why they wanted us to do that. We did a couple of interior burnout shots. One was that Impala convertible 427. It was a 396 425 car. But another one was the Yenko Deuce Nova indoor, and that was, I think, our 150th episode. And we did just a horrendous burnout in that thing inside. And that one didn't even have neon lights or anything up yet. It was just all black except for our lights.
Oh man!
And the house lights, and that was fun.
Yeah, I bet it's all fun. Hard work, but fun.
It is fun, and I always tell people, including myself, that I'm incredibly blessed and fortunate to have the opportunity to do this, and to shoot these cars and to get near them and share them.
Yeah, I mean, we as viewers really get a lot of benefit from it as well. I mean, who doesn't want to see some really high-end, cool, high-horsepower muscle cars every week that, running and driving and, doing burnouts? Because who doesn't like a good burnout? I don't know who doesn't.
I don't. Well, we've had comments.
Really?
People.
See, that's what they were meant to do. It's what they were born to do.
They're calling us childish and irresponsible, and
Yes.
How dare
so
you?
What? So what?
Yeah. So the message came through.
It's under in a controlled environment. It's on a closed track, quote unquote. So yeah, it's not like you're putting anyone in danger.
No, the whole show is shot on private property.
Exactly.
So there's that, and it's their cars.
Yeah,
and they're insured, and they have a team to repair them if anything happens, and they have the means and resources to do it. So
there you go.
Have at it. Yeah.
Yeah. Burn, baby, burned, what I say.
Yeah. So there'll be a few more of those coming up soon. And we have another full load of cars. So lots of cool stuff.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Sweet.
Some that have never been seen. Some types of cars that have never been seen on the show.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
So, all right. Nice teaser.
Yeah, there's some people that have made repeated kind of requests on commentary on social about, can you show one of these? And it's hard to explain to somebody who doesn't understand, how this all works. It's not like every week we search the world to find a particular car.
Right.
We are, I hate to use the term limited because the Brothers collection is pretty unlimited, but there's only certain cars in it, so when somebody's asking us for a 77 Matador, they don't have one, so it's not going to be here,
Right.
But a particular car that people have asked about quite a bit is going to get some airplay because they picked one up. So
I think what people forget too is, and we talked about this on a previous episode when we did a behind the scenes of Muscle Car of the Week, that you go into it understanding what you're going to shoot, and you have to shoot pretty much the whole season in a week's time.
Right.
So 4 days. So if somebody comes to you, a week before you're scheduled to go out there, hey, can you shoot a 70 Corvette 427? Well, if that's not on your spreadsheet to do, I don't know what because you have it set to where you're not doing the same type of car week after week.
Correct, and we can shoot them in a row. I can shoot 3 Corvettes in a row, but they don't get,
they'll get shown all in a row.
Correct, they don't get distributed that way. But the other thing is that the cars need to be set, a pretty good time in advance, ahead of time, so that they can all have gasoline in them.
Right.
And they can have...
And they're running.
They're running, the chokes are fixed, and the tires are aired up and all that jazz, because it's not like, again, you're not going to take a Hemi Cuda convertible down the street and put gas in it at the local gas station. All the fuel's got to be brought in on site and stored in a crank tank, and all the batteries, and I think we've got 26 cars on the list.
Okay, yeah.
For this next round.
So they need to know ahead of time as well, so they can prepare.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, they need
exactly.
to know.
Yeah, totally.
And that kind of goes back and forth. We look at what's available, and I always take suggestions because you can't go wrong. They don't have anything that sucks.
Right.
But it's like, well, they might say, yeah, this 428 Cougar is a great car, but we drove it yesterday and it's not happy. So can we substitute something else? And the team there is just so tremendously cool to work with. They are they're willing, they're happy, they're able, they're accommodating. It's great. It's just you couldn't do it without guys like that.
I met one of those caretaker guys at Muscle Car and Ansel. Super cool guy, super chill.
Yeah, totally.
Of course, I would be too if I had that gig. My gosh.
Well, that gig can grind on you too, though. There's a lot of pressure with maintaining those, and same guys are involved with the construction of the museum. So.
Oh, I see.
They're
busy.
They're busy, and their plates keep getting piled higher. So we appreciate that they can take the time to let us do the show too, which is also the impetus of the owners of the collection as well. So they're kind of whatever they want, they get. And we're happy and extremely happy to do it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So it's a great thing.
That is something else, man. How you got into that? That's crazy.
Yeah. So episode 302 airs this week. For those who are following. And
that last one was pretty cool with the comparison.
Yeah, right.
The Mustang and the what was it? The Challenger.
71 Challenger Hemi convertible. Compared to a Boss 429, and you'll notice that those cars have absolutely nothing in common. There's no. Why would you compare those? They're just not even close. And,
well, they're the same class of vehicle.
Yeah, right? Kind of, but not really. Sort of. The Challenger was kind of a luxury car, and the Boss 429 is a purpose-built, race car essentially. But that was kind of why we did it, because it really didn't make sense. And that one, every once in a while, we'll do an episode, and I really got to kind of push it out there and step back and just kind of pray
See
that
what happens.
I don't get splashed with the backlash. And you know what? Everybody loved it. I couldn't believe it. People were calling that our best episode ever.
It was pretty solid. I mean, I dug it. I really. I mean, I like them all, but that one, I like the comparison episodes that you have.
Well, I appreciate that,
because you can see two different cars that were on the street at the same time back in the 60s, and you can really see how they compare with one another. It's pretty cool. How much did you get any backlash for that midget car that you had?
The King Midget.
King Midget.
That has a 100% like ratio at this point.
Is that right?
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think it's your goofy grin as you drove by the smoky burnout.
Yeah, the monster. Another Challenger doing a burnout, and you can hear the horn beep. That's real. That's not a sound effect. That's actually hitting the horn.
Gosh.
And one of our cameramen / director is like, don't hit the horn because you can add that later because it might sound like crap, in the shot. I hit it anyway, and we left it, and it sounded fine.
Yeah, it was great.
It was cool. But that Challenger boss episode thing, like you're saying, people dig the comparisons, and what it does too is it doubles the potential core audience of an episode. Because now the Mopar guys are going to watch, the Mustang guys are going to watch.
Sure.
And then one thing we've learned is we cannot say versus. We can't say Challenger versus Mustang because we are not racing them, first of all.
Right.
So Ben, our editor, came up with the which would you choose concept.
Okay.
And that was a win because people posted comments, I would choose this one because, and I want this one, and they engaged, and that's what it's all about. That was great.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
I accept that.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, you bet. Bet.
So we'll end up doing more of those. So if you dug that, more to come.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to have the GTO versus Chevelle comparison.
All right.
So keep that in the back of your hat.
I'll refrain from saying, aren't those the same?
And hey, folks, thanks for listening to this episode of VA Radio. We're signing off for good.
I know. They're not the same. One's a Pontiac, and the other one doesn't matter, right? That's what you were going to say. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Love
the Chevelles. Love them both. We could do that.
Yeah.
They've got, I think they've got ample resources. I'll write that down.
Actually, I think what would be cooler is like a GTO and a GTX comparison. That'd be pretty cool.
That would be cool because those are similar in market.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Food for thought.
Battle of the GTs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, as this show releases, our next episode will have already been aired, and that one is it's going to be a 65 Shelby GT350R race car versus a 2016 Shelby GT350R.
Oh.
So it's the same car, 40 years apart, essentially. 45 years apart. And the question is, had the philosophy changed? Is the new one worthy of the old? And I'll tell you what it is. So that's pretty neat.
That is pretty neat.
Yep.
Both are pretty slick cars. I like that 350. I like that newer one though. Oh boy,
that is an awesome car.
It is just so sweet looking, and the performance of it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you don't have to be a Ford, and I'm not a Ford guy, but that thing checks a lot of boxes.
Oh, it sure does. It's got stuff that I never even knew about, like the brake rotors are, floating.
Is that right?
So it's got an aluminum hat, and then pointing out of the aluminum hat in a radial pattern are pins that locate the rotor.
Oh, wow.
So the rotor isn't bolted to the hat. It's pinned on a floating mechanism.
Oh, wow.
So that the rotor can heat up and
expansion and
contract
contraction?
without cracking.
Okay.
I mean, there is so much in that car. The wheels are carbon fiber on the R model.
Right.
And they're painted black. And the reason why they painted them black is to meet a federal standard for longevity. They can't they have to be UV resistant because the UV can break down the resins and the carbon. Yeah. So it's kind of a bummer because the carbon looks killer, but for an OE application, they got to paint them black. Lots and lots of cool stuff. So great car.
Well, good. Looking forward to seeing that one.
Yeah. Or that was a great one. I already saw it.
It was, Kevin, phenomenal episode. Phenomenal.
Yes. The magic of shifting time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And speaking of Mustangs, I saw a neat one in my neighborhood today. I think it was about a 66 convertible, and the license plate said bucket list.
Nice.
Yeah. Buktlist, I think. It was great.
I like it.
Yeah.
That is cool. Great car scene down there by you guys, too. Great car scene.
Yeah, there are a lot of cars around here, and it's nice. The weather's getting nice, and people are out driving them, and that's what we like to see. It made me think of... go ahead.
When I was dropping my daughter off to her art class, had nothing to do with cars, but when I was driving back in downtown Plainfield, I saw sitting out in a driveway, looked like probably a 71 Regal convertible, Buick convertible.
71 would have been a Century or Centurion.
Yeah, and a
full size.
Behind it was like a 50 something. It might have been a Pontiac or a Buick. 50, probably 56, 55. But just sitting
nice
out. Yeah, it was cool. I'm like, summer is here.
Yep.
The time has come. I love it.
Yep, they're all creeping out. Yeah, definitely love that.
Yeah, good times. Man, yeah, that was nice. I'm looking forward to a new season of car shows and cruise nights and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want to try to get out to the V8 cruise drive-in this year. Not just for the drive-in itself, but I want to see Paul's car as well out there.
Well, hopefully you'll be able to see it, because he doesn't live terribly far from you.
Right. That's true. I'm going to be visiting a lot.
Yeah, well, if the plan goes, according to plan, which you know what they say, a plan is a list of things that don't happen.
Right.
I think I had told him last weekend that it'd be cool to take the Galaxie and the Electra on a road trip from here, and he could drive his car home and not transport it with the tow dolly,
Yeah. Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah. So
that's got to happen.
That gives us both a little incentive to make sure all these things are roadworthy and all that jazz. Because it's funny, he and I grew up together, and I don't think there was any time that we both had our cars like running together.
Oh man,
hanging out and stuff. I mean, a few small instances,
right?
Before the time I moved away and he moved away and all that stuff happened. And so it's taken a long time, but we might be able to pull that off. So that'd be cool.
Oh, sweet. Good times.
Yeah.
Do we have a movie yet for the driving cruise?
Well, we did, and then we changed directions.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we threw a popular vote out because that way I'm off the hook.
Right.
We can just blame everybody else if they don't like it. And everybody landed on The Hollywood Nights by a strong margin, and that's a good film. But it was only somebody added it to the list. We didn't have a closed list, and I think that was my fault that I didn't realize that. There's a website you can search family-friendly movies, and that one had
probably not on there.
It's not. Oh, it had 9 strikes against it.
Oh boy!
Because it had language, it had nudity, it's an R-rated film, and we don't want this to be. This has to be a family-friendly thing. It's got a playground, and there's always kids there, and that's part of the draw.
Yeah.
We're trying to show kids how it's fun to play with old cars and get out and do fun stuff. Mm-hmm. So we are in the process of changing the film.
Okay.
So I've been a little bit gun shy about making this announcement publicly because I don't want all these people to yell at me about, well, then why was it there? We wanted to see it. But again, somebody added it to our poll.
I see. All right. Well, I mean, you have a good point. It's not a family-friendly movie.
No.
Great movie, but not
family-friendly.
It's a funny
film, and I actually thought about, so I looked, is there a TV version? Is there a PG-13 or a different cut? No, there's not.
Oh, gosh dang it.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
it is
whatever you decide will be fine.
Yeah. Well, a little insight. It might be the Blues Brothers.
Oh, cool.
And that one, in addition to having the awesome car chases, the music is great, and there's lots of stuff. And that's an R-rated film too, but it's not anywhere near as offensive as the other one. There's a few language things, but that's about it. And they're not.
Is there really?
There's not super bad ones, but there's, when Jake tells the penguin that she's up S Creek,
Yeah.
So, but today, that. Your girls probably swear like sailors.
Not that bad. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe 79 it would garner an R rating, but now
not
still PG-13.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that might be it. We'll see.
Cool.
Yeah.
Look forward to the announcement.
All right. Me too. All right, man. Well, my trivia button is itching. So
all right.
Because I like to lose, so just lay it on me, because
you're historically been a terrific guesser when you didn't know.
I know, but not this time. It's okay.
What you is. You're right, not this time.
Yeah.
So.
I know.
All right. Kevin, I asked you what auto manufacturer first implemented an all-wheel modern ABS brake system. And as the bonus, what year was it and what model car had it? And your guess was our friends out in Germany with Mercedes-Benz. And unfortunately, Kevin, that's not correct.
Yep.
The first manufacturer to give four-wheel ABS was actually Chrysler Corp.
Really?
Yeah.
Go Chrysler.
The 1971 Chrysler Imperial.
There we go.
Yeah. See? A lot of other manufacturers had a two-wheel setup.
Yeah.
Mercedes-Benz included,
yeah.
but Chrysler had the first all-wheel setup.
Very good. See, I knew it was earlier than I thought, too.
Yes. A little bit. Only 10 years.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I lost, but it gives me an idea for our next trivia question, so I'm going to write this down.
Oh, damn it. All right, go ahead and put your bullet in me now.
Hold on, I got to make my note here. Okay. So my question to you was, it is the Buick Nailhead V8 engine, but what was the official name of this V8 when it was introduced in 1953? And your guess was the Turbo Fire V8.
Yeah.
And that was a great name for an engine, but not the name. But
not for Nailhead.
No. So the Nailhead came out in 53 and ran all the way to 66, and the earlier ones were the Fireball V8. So
Fireball V8. I had fire.
You did.
I had fire.
Yeah. So you should get a half a point there.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. I'm only a half a wrong.
Yes, right. And the other eventually it became to be known as the Wildcat V8, of course.
Oh, gosh dang it.
Yeah.
Son of a gun, I knew that too. You suck, Michael.
So we both lost.
Yeah.
That's all right.
It's all right. It's okay.
It happens.
It does happen.
Yeah.
A lot to me.
Yeah, it happens to me too.
Well, that's all right.
Yes.
Not to you. You pulled Henry Ford out of your keister last time.
He didn't want to be in there anymore.
No, evidently not. Evidently not.
Yeah, not this time. But I'm glad it was Chrysler. I always appreciate American innovation and the big three when they were really innovating.
Yep. Likewise.
Yeah. Cool. All right, my friend. Well, this has been a great experience. We appreciate everybody listening, and we have a new source for V8 Radio, which is called
Podchaser.com.
There you go, Podchaser.
Yes.
And how triumphant was it today to see little old V8 Radio in the third position of the most popular automotive podcast, ahead
of Car Talk,
of our half-deceased friends at Car Talk.
We win! We win! Finally got you, Car Talk.
And I think we're up at about 15 on iTunes.
Yeah, we are on 15 on iTunes. I looked at that last episode we had. Showed a lot of popularity.
It did. Huge.
For whatever reason. Who knew? Who knew people like this show?
Well, we appreciate that. It's not just us talking in the garage, even though it kind of is. It's enjoyable, and I'm glad people dig it.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
There's another place. So Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, TuneIn Radio, our Facebook page, v8radio.com, and now Podchaser as well.
Yeah. The cool thing about Podchaser is it does give you the option. It's a good platform for Android users. It gives you the option to rate the show and leave a review as well, unlike Spotify or Stitcher, I don't believe does, or TuneIn Radio, I don't believe does either. So if you are begging to leave a review for the show and rate it, and you use an Android device, you can use podchaser.com to do it.
Yep. In fact, I looked at it just on my desktop computer too.
Yeah, I did as well.
Yeah. And like iTunes, it lets you rate the entire show, like the whole podcast. Podchaser lets you rate individual episodes, so that was cool.
Exactly, that too, yeah.
All the ones that I won the trivia contest got 5 stars.
Is that right? That was pretty much every stinking episode out there, wasn't it? And all the ones that I lost got 0 stars. So, hey, how does that work?
Well, not this one.
No.
We both got brown stars for this one.
Yeah, another brown show for Kevin and Mike.
That's it. All right, man. Well, again, appreciate it. It was fun. And for Mike Clarke, I'm Kevin Oeste on V8 Radio. We'll keep it under 100, and we'll see you next time.